Call the May 28th, 2020 Ventnor City Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If we could all rise for the flag salute led by Chief Biaggi.
Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Could I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Kriebel?
Here.
Commissioner Landgraf?
Here.
Mayor Holtzman? Let the record reflect Mayor Holtzman is absent.
The Open Public Meetings Act announcement. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the law. We have one brief presentation this evening, and Beth was hoping she could be here this evening to do this. It's kind of a little bit of a sad one. We have a mayoral proclamation recognizing Stanley Hugh Gunnison, issued May 28th, 2020. It is my sorrowful duty to announce officially the death of Stanley Hugh Gunnison, Vice President of C.J. Adams Insurance Company, on May 8th, 2020. We, the members of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, want the family to know that our hearts are full as we gather together to say goodbye to our good friend and professional partner, Stanley Hugh Gunnison. Whereas Hugh Gunnison worked with diligence and vigor to achieve goals for the City of Ventnor, and whereas the passing of Stanley Hugh Gunnison, a valued employee of C.J. Adams Company and community member, has caused a deep void of sadness at work, in our municipality, and in our community. And whereas we embrace and mourn with the family because all of us have a common bond, and whereas Stanley Hugh Gunnison served the City of Ventnor well and faithfully as its insurance consultant. Now, therefore, be it known, the City of Commissioners of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, that we know the deep loss and sorrow the family and friends of Stan Gunnison are experiencing. We want to share in your sorrow and recognize Stan for his dedication and service to the City of Ventnor. In witness hereof, I set my hand and cause seal of the City of Ventnor to be affixed this 28th day, May 2020. Beth Holtzman, Mayor of Ventnor City. So Stan really was an asset to our community. He helped us stay within the guidelines of our JIF and make sure our public areas and our buildings were safe. He will certainly be missed. Big shoes to fill in that role as our insurance consultant for our community. He's been here a long time, so he will certainly be missed. Thank you. Tim, we still have the flag up. Is that necessary to keep the flag up?
No, let's see.
Should go to who's ever speaking, right?
Is the agenda up now?
It is.
It is.
Okay. I thought if I just minimized it since the agenda was behind it, it would just come up, but I guess not.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I want to see the grid here. All I'm seeing is a phone up now. Okay. So moving forward, this is our workshop. So we will go through the items in our report or on our agenda, have discussions on each one, and then we will go into our full meeting. The first item we've already gone through is the proclamation. Department head reports. We do not have any this evening. We do not have any capital discussion. The following items are scheduled for action at our meeting tonight, in the regular portion of this commission meeting. We have no minutes to approve this evening. Public hearing. We will have our public hearing on the 2020 municipal budget amendment, resolution 2020-166. Leon, do you want to go through that now, or do you want to go through that during the public hearing?
Yeah, no, that's really very quick, Commissioner. All that is the amendment that we did to realign a couple of line items in the budget. Has no change at all to the overall totals, and it's just really a formality to have the public hearing for it because there was a 10% change in one of the lines because lines moved out. So it's really no impact to the budget whatsoever, and it's just the public hearing on the amendment. Those 4 lines that changed, nothing else. Okay.
All right. And then we will, after that public hearing on that minor change, we will pass a resolution adopting that 2020 municipal budget.
Correct.
Okay. The next item is item 4, ordinance introduction. This is ordinance 2020-012, an ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing a long-term lease between the City of Ventnor as landlord and Shalom House Development, Inc. as tenant. Some history with this particular piece of property. Back in the early 90s, the city reconstructed Swarthmore Avenue, and it turned out the street was actually in the wrong location by 50 feet. Out in front of what was Beth Judah at the time. They were constructing Beth Judah, so we had to move the road. What lingered until, 4 years ago when we started to try and get this done, was a strip of land that was in front of Shalom House, but between Swarthmore Avenue and their property. It was a gap in the survey, so the land was kind of in limbo. Shalom House had approached the city to lease that. We tried to do it earlier in our first term, but we were unable to do that due to some factors with the refinancing of the Shalom House. So they couldn't take on this land at the time, even as a lease. So they've gotten through those hurdles, and we're moving this thing forward to allow them. They're going to improve it, use it for some parking. They're going to landscape the area. And I think that's a good use of that space. Tim McGuire, do you have anything to add on that?
No, Mayor, that pretty much sums it up. Excuse me, no, Lance, that pretty much sums it up. And a copy of the lease will be available at Lisa's office.
Great, thank you. This is something that has taken 4 years to get done. It was nothing to do with the city. Again, it was Shalom House, but really just a minor issue to get over. But we've done that, so happy to get that moved forward. And Tim, thanks for your diligence on that. Any questions, Tim?
My pleasure. None for me.
Okay, thank you. Tim, Commissioner Kriebel? Commissioner Kriebel, any questions?
Sorry, not at this time, no.
Okay. All right. Next item will be ordinance 2020-013, an ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, setting forth the City of Ventnor's procedure with regard to specific post offer pre-employment checks. Essentially, that is drug and background checks that we will do as we onboard employees with the City of Ventnor. So we will be amending that or creating that as part of our procedures. Tim, Marie, anything on that?
No, it's just something that we've worked on for a very long time. Maria has put in a lot of work concerning that. I've reviewed it, Nicole reviewed it, and basically it just establishes and fortifies the procedures regarding pre-employment testing and what people have to do who are offered positions with the city.
Great. And I think just for everybody's knowledge, Nicole is our labor counsel that helps us with labor issues. So very much appreciated her input there. Item 5, ordinance public hearing and adoption. We have ordinance 2020-009, an ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, amending section 2017-8, Article 3, regulation of parking on certain streets. And I have my notes on there. So what that is going to do is address our parking permits. It is going to increase to 4 hours those permits, correct, Commissioner Kriebel?
Correct.
And as well, it's going to add some streets to that. It's going to go from Jackson to Victoria.
Victoria. Yeah.
Victoria from the boardwalk to the north side of Winchester Avenue.
Right.
So,
Even though there's not necessarily going to be as much retail traffic with considering COVID, we still want to make sure that we are going to get our summer influx, and this was part of the plan in looking at the parking challenges in that area.
Yep.
And I think we all agreed it carries no negative effect to the neighborhood.
Right. Okay. Anything else on that one?
Chief?
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. The next is ordinance 2020-010, ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 126 flood hazards. This code of City of Ventnor, and I guess this is going back to the flood vents and some other things for our CSR rating. And I think also to make it easier, I think it waives permit fees for installation of flood vents. So that's, I think, really at the public hearing stage. We've had the discussion on these already. But anything on that? Anybody? Okay. Ordinance 2020-011, establishing 2020 salaries, compensation, and salary ranges of officers and employees of the City of Ventnor, and repealing all ordinances, parts thereof, heretofore adopted. It's the only time you ever see that word, heretofore, is in a ordinance or resolution, right? The provisions of which are inconsistent herewith. And this just sets salary ranges. We had created a deputy construction code official position, and we needed to pass an ordinance to do that. So that's where we are with that. Resolutions and contracts. So this is a consent agenda for resolutions 2020-186 through 2020-193. These are items that are not controversial, do not require individual discussion. A motion approving the consent agenda is moved, seconded, and voted on as one item by the commissioners. If any discussion is requested on a consent item, it is removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. So if we need to, we can pull any of these out and move them individually. So the first is resolution 2020-186. It is authorizing the refund of a deposit, the use of the community building to 5400 Boardwalk Condo Association. Pretty simple. They used it. They didn't damage it. They get their refund of deposit back. Resolution 187, authorizing the hiring of temporary emergency medical technicians, EMTs, for the City of Ventnor. Chief Cahill, would you mind going through this briefly for us? I know Commissioner Kriebel and I are very well aware, but just for the public, this is something that a plan you came up with, and I think it very much adds to the protection of our beaches this year, certainly with the current crisis, the COVID-19. So.
Sure. The plan is to limit the unprotected or unpersonal protective equipment protected lifeguards from any patients or medical emergencies that occur on the beach. Lifeguards are geared up for water rescue and basically controlling actions at the water side. They're not geared up to deal with patients, medical emergencies, victims once they're rescued, invasive medical care. They don't have the proper gloves immediately available, the proper outer body coverings or gowns, eye protection that is actually medical, not sunglasses. And they're basically dressed for a day at the shore, not a day in the medical field. Right. So we came to the conclusion that the safest way to protect our staff on the beach is to provide an EMT in 2 areas on the beach that can respond and be that stopgap between the lifeguards and the fire department. They will begin stabilization in a protected manner safely, so we limit any exposure to our people. It's I'm just looking out for a lot of reasons, but in specific, I'll tell you, I looked into it because my son's on the beach as a lifeguard, and those kids will try to do everything they can to help somebody, and they could get themselves in trouble if they're not prepared for this pandemic environment that we're operating in. And the personnel we're going to put on the beach will be.
Chief, I thank you. I think this has set the standard for a lot of other communities. I know some have reached out to you to talk to you about this, and I'm hoping they're taking the same steps that you have done to protect not only our lifeguards, but our public and our bathers. So thank you for that.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Let's see. Next one is resolution 2020-188. City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, authorizing Action Janitorial to provide electrostatic spray, sanitizing, disinfecting, cleaning services not to exceed $41,586.12. This is for our public bathrooms. This will be, I believe this starts on June 8th is the date, or the first week in June, and it will start, cleaning these bathrooms on a more frequent basis. To meet some of the demand that when these bathrooms are open to the public. It will include the restrooms at the tennis courts, the recreation facility, the outdoor bathrooms, and eventually the indoor bathrooms when they open at the library and Senior Service Center, as well as the Pier House when that opens sometime this third week in June, we are anticipating. So that's resolution 188. Next is 189. Resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, appointing professional services contract for human resources personnel consultant. I forget the name of the person we're bringing in. Maria, who we bringing in?
This is Cynthia Cotton,
Oh, right.
the consultant from Civil Service.
Yep.
There's a civil service community, so it's really civil service is a bear to navigate, and she retired from there. So we've had the pleasure of having her 1 day a week, sometimes less, and this is extending it for another 6 months.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I knew the first name but didn't know the last and didn't want to say one without the other. So
Yeah.
thank you. Next one is Resolution 2020-190, resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, Jersey, appointing members to the Ventnor City School Board. We will be extending Kim Basford to May 15th of 2023, and Michael Advina also to that same date, May 15th of 2023. They have served us well, and we hope to continue that theme. Kim was a real asset in this latest budget with getting us information from Atlantic City School, our Board of Education. They were not as forthcoming as we would have liked them to have been, and she was a great help doing that, and she's a great asset to our board. I think you'll agree with that, Chief Biaggi?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's outstanding at what she does. She's very knowledgeable. So I look forward to working with her continued now.
Great. Thank you. Next is Resolution 191, City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing change orders 1 through 8 for construction of pier restroom, office building, and add alternate 1 construction. These are, and Tim, you're probably more familiar with them than I am, but they are, I want to pull up the amounts. Excuse me 1 second. That is 191. Apologize. There we go. The total change order of $27,707.85, increasing the contract from $489,000 to just over almost $517,000, $516,707.85. A lot of these changes came about. One was the largest one I think was the addition of a closet, a mop closet. There was. Right. Go ahead, Tim. If you want to go, do you want to go through any of these or?
Well, they did work with us on one. The largest one is the janitor's closet. The reason why that is high is that the material they're using is a vinyl, almost like an AZAC material around the wall cladding, which is continuous through the building, and then to make it kind of indestructible up to like above the paint line, so almost 10 feet. And the other one was a ceiling change finish, which was a discrepancy on the plan, and they worked with us to come up with a better solution that was more cost effective. Actually, the way it was interpreted was more than 12,000, so we came up with a more simple detail with batten strips and seams and AZAC. So, I mean, no one likes to spend those kinds of things in an ad, but the building is definitely being done right. The quality is very high, and so I agree with these change orders.
Okay, thank you. I agree as well. I mean, I've been out there and seen what the work that they're doing, and to scrimp and pinch pennies on a building of that import out there is not the right way to go. And Ed was able to negotiate down some of these numbers with Weatherby. They've been a very good contractor with us.
Absolutely.
And they're not trying to hurt anybody here. They're just trying to get the job done right. And there's always some changes here and there. So
he's working on Saturdays. He's there on Sundays checking, and the building is really coming together nicely. They're hoping for another month or so, depending on doors. I think are something that were COVID related. You had mentioned that.
Yep.
And that's just something the nature that some production just doesn't happen right now, and
but
everything else is moving along quickly. It looks great.
Yeah, the gate looks awesome.
Gate is probably my favorite part of it. about 400 pounds, and it moves like silk. It's really a nice piece by Thomas, local contractor that does metal work. They did a great job on it. Really. You got I want to keep all the signs off of that, so it looks so so that so you can see it and it doesn't affect the actual design. And it's going to make it more welcoming to the public. It's going to open up 8 feet of that walkway. You can feel like you can walk right up. Like the more the pier is more open to the public, as it should be.
Agreed. I really like the design. Next, we've got Resolution 2020-192. Resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing the hiring of the following employees to serve as temporary medical technicians, EMT, for the City of Ventnor. So this follows up with the one above, 187. Nothing great changes from that, correct?
Right.
No, that just names the EMTs.
Right.
I believe. The numbers.
Okay. Next one is 193, resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, repealing Resolution 2020-143 in its entirety, ceasing these short-term rentals in response to Executive Order 108. So we have had many calls on this. I have many questions to our website as well as our social media platforms where we are looking to repeal that short-term rental ban as of June 1st. It's something that the governor, allowed us to back off of that. And, we hope to try and, while still trying to keep as much social distancing and not overcrowd our community as possible, we want to look at, opening up opportunities for, our rental properties here in the city and getting things moving for hopefully the rest of the summer of 2020. Can't come soon enough. So that will be the repeal of that resolution. Approval of bills and payroll.
Can I just circle back? I have one question.
Sure.
I want to circle back. I don't know if it's something that we necessarily spoke about in public yet, but when we talked about the ordinance introduction of the lease for the Shalom House, this is the first time I'm seeing it. I see the term is 50 years, but I don't see an amount on that. Is that something that's not public yet, or is that something that?
Tim, do you have that at your fingertips?
It's a nominal amount. It's $1 per year.
Yeah.
And that's basically because the land can't be used for anything else. It's
exactly
tied into their. I just want to know before I vote on it.
We spend a lot more money trying to maintain that area than $1 a year.
Right. So the maintenance goes to them.
Yep.
Yes.
We have no maintenance responsibility of it at all. They're gonna maintain. They're gonna improve it first, and then it's their responsibility to maintain it.
Okay. All right. I'm good. I'm not gonna hold up something you're working on so long.
The approval of bills and payroll. Al, will you give us those numbers now? Or you want to do that in the main session?
I can give it to you now.
Okay, go ahead.
The amount of the bill list is $5,958,197.72, and the amount of the payroll was $509,031.08.
Okay, all right, thank you. Tim, any discussion items?
No, I can save. I just have some brief updates, so I can save it for commissioner comments.
Okay.
Discussion. Maybe. Maybe I'll say that for the public as well, because I see Pat is here in the pickleball. And so when we get to the public comment, I might call her in.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so with that, we'll open it up to the public. This section is for public to ask questions on items that we've already discussed, the items that we will be taking action on this evening, and just that. So if you've got any questions on the resolutions we're going to adopt or the ordinances that were introduced and we'll have public hearings on, please make yourself known to Mr. Pakinowski, and he can let you in and ask your questions.
Hey, Mr. Ben W. has a question.
Yes, sorry, my Zoom update killed my camera, so I'm flying blind here, but hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
The last issue, I know that's a state issue with regards to lifting the temporary ban on short-term rentals. Is the city of Ventnor addressed short-term rentals in any fashion, meaning Airbnb, Vrbo, because it's an ongoing and increasing issue in the city of Ventnor, obviously, particularly during the summer. My understanding is that through L&I and my rental experience, which I have several buildings, 27 North Hillside, 4907 Atlantic Avenue, that are rental buildings, and I follow all the rules and regulations, particularly getting a C of O in between each and every tenant and exchange. Obviously, Airbnbs who are renting for a single, sometimes night, are not following these procedures. In addition, my understanding is with each unit, you get option of, parking pass because I'm in North Beach, as well as one visitor pass. So certainly they're not following the parking regulations either with regards to this, and it's become quite a problem.
So we have addressed, we passed a regulation or an ordinance, I'm going to say a year and a half ago, that requires every Airbnb to get a mercantile license. We found that a lot of them were still not doing that. So what we did, I think 2 meetings ago, or maybe possibly the last meeting, we finalized it. We hired a company called Host Compliance,
Right.
that will now track all of our short-term rentals, the Airbnbs, the Vrbos of the world. We will now know where they are, because if you go on their site, the only way you find out where they are is if you rent from them. You actually sign up to reserve the property. So this company will data mine those locations and give us that information, and then we will be able to contact them. And if they have not obtained a mercantile license, they will be provided the opportunity to do that, and most likely be fined for not for operating that use without the mercantile license. The goal is to obtain their contact information in order to be able to track them if we have an issue. Chief Biaggi and his team is very good at tracking down noise violations and things of that nature upon complaint. The trouble we've had in the past is that we don't have an owner to contact. We're dealing with a tenant that is a short-term tenant. Now, if we can track that to an owner and an operator, we're in very much better shape. So we are moving towards that. We are a resort community, and we do encourage people to visit here, and that is one of the options, the Airbnb and Vrbo, VRBO. I'm not sure how to say that. So we have taken action. They are permitted to do it. We did not ban them. There are communities that have. Robbinsville is one. I actually sat on a panel at a conference up in New Brunswick this past winter, where I spoke to the mayor of Robbinsville, and they banned them. Now, they're not a resort community. They don't have a lot of visitors from that aspect, but they banned them. It wasn't an opportunity for them to encourage people to come to their community, where we like that. So it's a work in progress. So I got your first name, Ben. I didn't catch your last name, so I apologize.
Weinraub, Weinraub.
I'm going to go with Ben. How's that?
That's just fine. Yes. Recently retired member of my family from a City Hall workforce, Ronnie, was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Same name, same family.
How's Ron doing?
He's doing great.
He was great.
Question with regards to that, obviously, it's some of my income, both in Ventnor and in other places, and I'm not proposing that we ban that. It's a matter of controlling it. Does the mercantile license require additional taxation? In some cities, once you go over a certain number of nights, they kick it to a hotel situation where you're also paying hotel tax above and beyond a certain number of nights of rental.
We don't have a hotel tax here.
Okay. Also, there's opportunity, obviously, like you said, difficult for the neighbors to enforce this. I've had people in other cities and other companies do that sort of thing and actually put in, which something that we could do, decibel meters. And through modern technology, obviously you don't want to invade privacy with video and things like that, and it's tough to monitor, but decibel meters can be set for alarms. So if they're doing that, and you set thresholds based on our noise ordinances, meaning, volumes and hours, it can automatically send not only to the renter, to the landlord, to the city, alarms.
So
that-
Ben, we have over 250 short-term rentals in our community. We're not going to install those type of alarms in people's property. That's just not an expense that we're
No, the landlord certainly could be obligated to install them.
I don't
If that's
know
their
that we're at
use.
that level.
It's a minor expense in terms of, making additional rental, which I could do if I decide to rent for one night instead of 1 year, my properties. So
My
there
understanding
could
that
be expenses
Airbnb
that
has
come in.
banned, Airbnb has not allowed one-night rentals anymore.
It's a temporary adjustment for COVID-19.
Lance, can I jump in for a minute?
Sure, Tim, please.
Ben, my name is Tim McGuire. I'm the city solicitor. And Chief, please jump in at any point.
I was waiting for the okay.
Unfortunately, the legislature in the state of New Jersey has made the enforcement of noise ordinance based on decibel readings extremely difficult. You have to have a certified officer to take the reading. You have to get an ambient reading, that is the noise when no activity is occurring. And then you have to get the reading at the actual time when the loud noise is occurring, deduct the ambient reading, and only then can you try to enforce a violation of a noise ordinance. So while it seems good in theory, extremely difficult to implement from a practical standpoint.
But we did send Pam Learn to school, and we're sending 2 more officers. So Pam is certified noise violation officer. We also are in the process with purchasing one of the meters that will do everything that is requested of by the ordinance to make a good case in court. Everything that we had done in the past where we were lacking, we've changed. We've changed the ordinance to cover it. We have the training now, and we're shortly going to have the opportunity to use the equipment that will give us a solid case. So we're good. We're way ahead of it.
I did not know that.
Well, hey, surprise. Think of it as a little surprise we had for you. I was keeping that in my little pocket over here. But no, Jimmy Agnesino and the police department have been working very, very well together. And that was one of the things we were attacking. And he went first with the sending Pam to get the class up at, I believe, Rutgers. I'm sending several guys coming up in September if this COVID thing goes on. And we are in the process, like I said, of purchasing one of the high-tech meters that will give us everything we need with our with the judges that have been making their cases on a solid noise ordinance violation. We now have learned from that. We know exactly what's needed, so we're there. We are absolutely there and ready to tackle this.
But we're going to rely on the residents and neighbors to report this. And that's really the process here.
Let me tell you, neighbors, if we could just get them to call on anything, it would really help us rather than call us the next day. Because this is what we do. We answer complaints. We do things, neighborhood complaints. During the summer, this is what we have. I hear after the fall about all these things that happened in the summer that nobody particularly called about. So I'm begging you to tell the people that hear these or have these problems, the only way we can solve them is by letting us know. Make the phone call, we deal with it, and then it's no longer a problem for the rest of the summer. And that's what we're going on.
And in North Beach.
And in North Beach.
Sorry, with regards to the parking, obviously, this is a party function, and it happens in other cities as well for Airbnb. In those listings, there are limits that can be set. Has the city vendor, dictated any limits for those short-term rentals if and when they get the mercantile license that says, here are the rules and regulations for short-term rentals, or is there no difference for short-term occupancy and rental versus long-term.
Who wants to field that one? Because I'm going to have a different take on it.
Well, it should be it's a code enforcement issue with the capacity of the home, correct?
Right.
It's based on the bedrooms.
Each
and each
Airbnb, each when they get issued their mercantile license, they get a occupancy load of that home. Jim Agnesino goes out and does an inspection, or his staff goes out and does an inspection, and they set the capacity of that facility, of that home. If that's exceeded, and they get fined. If we find out about it, they get fined. If the property has a parking permit, they're permitted to use those parking permits.
And if they don't have permits, you got to call us and let us know so we can mark the tires, give them their 4 hours, and then we'll deal with it then, or have them move the cars to a short-term parking somewhere, maybe in Atlantic City or something.
So and years ago, we had an issue with a particular home, and the house and the bedrooms were measured per square footage against the ordinance for the amount of people that they could have in the building. And then I have to comment, the police department did a great job. They were very proactive. They went to the owner, and they went to each renter as they had their short-term event, as their short-term, and explained to them what they expected in those buildings that we had problems, and we haven't had, and those problems basically disappeared.
We have very, very few issues with short-term rentals. I mean,
absolutely,
1 or 2 properties, and we've seemed to have resolved the one that we had the most problems with, right, Chief?
Which we did. That was very proactive. And again, all you got to do is let us know once, and we call the owner, or this new company we hired. They're great, Host. I mean, all these warnings that we have and all these things, these people are going to know in advance. They know what the local ordinances are. They know they got to have the music down by this time. They know they can't do this. They know they can't do this outside. So, I mean, there's nothing that we haven't covered. I'm hoping this summer shows a huge improvement over the last few years, because we've progressively been getting better as the years have gone on. We live and learn. We learn from our mistakes. We adjust the ordinances accordingly, and I think we're there now.
I'm really excited about this company, because what they're going to do is find these short-term rentals that are in the shadows, that are not getting their mercantile license, and those, I believe, are the ones that are probably more likely to break the ordinances. And the single first goal of this company is to ensure that landlords comply with local ordinances. That's their job, and it takes that extra job off the hands of our code enforcement, because it is, it's 250 plus.
Yep.
Absolutely agree.
And they are going to roll out, probably by the end of this month, a test website that we will start using in code. And then once the bugs get wrung out of that, that'll go live, and that'll be, a tool for us as the community, and a tool for people coming to our community to see what's going on with these short-term rentals and what the rules are.
Right.
And the response, anytime I've had any issue in Ventnor, the response has been great. If I picked up the phone, certainly kudos to everybody for that. One last comment to consider: a lot of cities for summer rentals have a minimum, and something, if there are problems, once we get that situation in place, and we know all the short-term rentals, a week, I'm pretty sure Ocean City usually has a week minimum for rentals, before website and Airbnb and so forth. And it changes the whole dynamic of who rents and how it's rented. It's not one night for a party. So if once we find out that the other 200 locations this summer, if it becomes an issue, keep it in mind as an option. It seemed to work in other places.
Yeah,
I like that.
We've talked about that, and if we haven't had that yet, but I think that's something to keep an eye on, and host compliance will help us do that.
Yeah, and I think that changes the character of the experience too. I think people are a little bit more, they're a little more invested in the property as well, and taking care of it. I think that's something I'd like to talk about. Yeah.
Let's be honest, we're not afraid to change anything on the fly. If it doesn't work out, we fix it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the best thing about this forum here. You guys are the best. So.
Okay, the next person, Joanne Graham, has a question.
Yes, hi.
Joanne?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I've been calling the police department quite a bit lately and have called the building department quite a bit lately. I have an Airbnb on my block that has been a problem, a major problem, and does not follow any rules. I had 3 instances in the past week where I called the cops twice, and this house became a all-night party house. I've been a resident since 1993, and I actually, for the first time ever, I feel uncomfortable in my community and neighborhood, and I am a big supporter of North Beach, and I am one that helps all my neighbors, and I'm dealing with arrogant owners.
What's the address?
I'm concerned, and also I've reported to everybody in the past couple days, and it got to be where I am scared to even be on my deck.
What's the address, Mrs. Graham?
5109 Winchester Avenue.
Okay. I'll ask Jim Agnesino to send some people by there. And Chief, if you could take a look at it as well. If
As soon as we're done this meeting, we'll be on this. I'll
Okay.
I'll check for the calls and see what we've had there and what's been discovered.
Yeah, yeah, I've had I've had people from New York, Virginia, Philadelphia. I've had 15 to 20 people.
Wow.
The owners say it's only one person, and all of a sudden it becomes a nightclub.
Okay, we'll deal with it immediately.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joan.
I hear that. Thank you.
Joanne, I'm sorry.
Okay, we next have a gentleman named Kyle has a question.
Kyle, please step up, and not step up, but please state your question.
Me? Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Awesome. Thank you. My name's Kyle. I live on North Evelyn Avenue. I am a short-term rental host myself. I do it exclusively through VRBO. I definitely understand Joanne's concern. I actually just wanted to touch base with her, ask her if the hosts live here year-round. Me personally, my place is a duplex. I live in the downstairs unit. I live here year-round, so it's obviously much easier for me to keep an eye on my guests, make sure they're not disturbing my neighbors. I have it limited to 4 people. Literally 99% of my guests are mom, dad, 2 kids, coming to enjoy the shore, experience our town. But I know, back to Joanne's point, there is obviously people who do Airbnb short-term rentals who don't obviously live here year-round, and it's obviously much tougher for them to control the guests they're having here. So I understand her issue. Real quick, as I say that and I try to follow the book, I'm going to wrap myself out here. I do not have a mercantile license.
Better get on that, Kyle. We now know where you're at.
So I had called City Hall about a month ago when I read an article that you guys were using this host company to try to get ahead of the ball. And he told me that you guys would just be reaching out. I asked, is this something I should pay for now? And he kind of explained it that we'll actually just reach out to you. So I just want to make sure I'm not going to get fined. I mean, I have no problem doing whatever I need to do.
What I would suggest you do is contact our clerk, Lisa Hand, who's on the meeting tonight.
Okay.
Reach out to her through telephone. She's in the office, and get yourself a mercantile license.
Okay.
Lisa, what number can he reach you at there?
609-823-7904.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for your input. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Anybody else, Mike?
I don't see anybody else's hands.
All right. With that, we'll accept a motion to close the public portion of the workshop. Tim?
Oh, wait a minute, Pat. Wait a minute. I see Pat Harrington has a question.
Okay. Mr. Harrington? Mrs. Harrington? I'm not sure.
It's Pat Harrigan. Thank you, Lance. And I just wanted to ask about the pickleball and tennis courts and the potential date for opening those to
Okay,
the
so
public.
Pat, that's not on, that'll be in the general public comment later on in the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Right now,
All
we're
right.
just handling items that we're going to vote on this evening.
Okay,
So
very good.
and just
Stay
be a little
tuned
more.
Yeah, stay tuned, Pat. We'll talk about that at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pat. We do have a comment from Kurt Court. Jim, can you let him in?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Kurt.
Hey guys, thanks for everything you're doing. I live on North Derby in a duplex. Also, we rent the one unit. Just wanted to say a couple things. Most owners don't want to have parties, so I would absolutely recommend something like a Ring camera at the front door as maybe a recommendation, so people can keep an eye on things. And even like the one gentleman was saying with the noise devices, they're great. But most owners are not looking to have one night rentals for parties. I would be pretty concerned if the minimum was a week. We do pretty well with 2-night minimums. 3-night minimums on holidays. We, try to keep families over here. And the last point I wanted to say was whatever this illegal Airbnb, quote unquote, is doing is outside of these services because the calendars have been blocked off. So
Right.
no one could have booked if they wanted to. This person must have just been working it out on the side.
Yeah. And there is some of that, but we can, as Chief's going to go over and take a look after this meeting, he'll send, a car around and take a look what's going on. But you're right. There's always going to be people working around the rules, through the rules and under the radar. So with the help of the guys that are doing it right, like you and Beth, Kurt, and Kyle, who was on, we hope that we can provide this as a means of people to come visit our community. That's something we want to have done, want to have happen. So that's
okay.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it. Looks like we have
restaurants one of them. Sure.
Melanie, I see you commented. Do you want to speak about that, or you just want to have your chat?
Clarification, because we moved so quickly through the question on short-term rentals.
Okay, go ahead.
It sounded like you might lift the short-term rental ban on June 1st. Is that for sure, or is that still to be decided?
That will be decided when we vote on the resolution later on in tonight's meeting.
I see. Okay, thank you.
It is the intent to lift that ban.
Okay.
This is a discussion.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Melanie. Anyone else with public comment on items that we've already raised this evening?
I'm not seeing anything on this end.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. So, Commissioner Kriebel, I'll accept the motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close public portion.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So now we will close the workshop portion of the meeting and call to order the regular portion of our meeting tonight. The approval of minutes, we have none. We do have the public hearing on 2020 municipal budget amendment, resolution 2020-166. Leon, you want to just give a brief description of that?
Sure. This resolution is just making one $400 change on one of the revenues, plus and minus, which is still the same total budget that we have, no change to the tax levy. And the other one is correcting 3 line items that were on the wrong line and moving them to the proper line. Again, no change in the total budget.
Okay.
And this resolution was introduced at the meeting of May 14th.
Correct. So with that, Tim, I'll accept a motion to open the public hearing on 2020 municipal budget amendment, resolutions 2020-166.
Right, just the amendment.
Just the amendment, yes.
Motion to open the public hearing on resolution 2020-166.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anyone wishing to speak about the amendment to the 2020 municipal budget and just the amendment, please make yourself known to Jim Pakinowski and state your comment or question.
Either use the raise hand or put within the chat, and I will recognize you. I don't see anybody as of right now.
Okay, give it a second or two more. It's a little.
Yep.
Nothing, Jim?
Nope.
Okay. Accept the motion to close the public hearing on the 2020 municipal budget amendment.
Motion to close public hearing.
I second. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Next item is the resolution is 2020-185, resolution of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, adopting the 2020 municipal budget. Have a
As amended. Yeah.
As amended.
As amended, correct.
That's the same. Wow.
No?
I'm sorry.
Do we have to do anything else on that, Leon? Just.
Oh, no, nothing. Just a motion to approve it and second it, and then take a roll call vote.
Okay. Tim, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2020-185 as amended.
I second. Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes. Okay. Next one.
You've completed the 2020 budget process. You have a budget now.
All right.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leon. Leon, really thank you for your help. This was a challenging one. Started with the issues with the school budget and moving forward. Thank you for all you do for our city, and we certainly rely on your expert advice on a lot of this. So thank you.
My pleasure, and you've done a remarkable job over the past 4 years with the finances of the city.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't think next year this coming year will be any different of a challenge, but we always appreciate your help and guidance. Thank you.
Thanks.
Agreed. All right. Next item is ordinance introduction. Ordinance 2020-012, an ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, authorizing a long-term lease between the City of Ventnor as landlord and Shalom House Development, Inc. as tenant. And it is $1 a year lease. I'll need a motion to introduce that, Tim.
Ordinance 2020-1012
I second.
as described.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Tim?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so that's been introduced. The next ordinance introduction is ordinance 2020-013, ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, setting forth the City of Ventnor's procedure with regard to specific post-offer and pre-employment checks. Motion, please, Tim.
Motion to introduce ordinance 2020-013 as described.
I second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langgraf?
Yes. Next is a public hearing on ordinance 2020-009, ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, amending section 217-8, Article 3, a regulation of parking on certain streets. Motion to open the public hearing on this ordinance.
Motion to open public hearing 2020-009 as described.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this is open to the public for public comment. If you wish to be heard, please let Mr. Pakinowski know either by raising your hand or in the chat room.
Nobody.
Nobody? Okay. Thank you. I'll accept the motion to close.
Motion to close.
I second.
Public
All in
hearing.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ordinance adoption. This is the adoption of ordinance 2020-009. Accept the motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-009 as described.
I second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes. Okay. We have another public hearing on ordinance 2020-010, ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 126 flood hazards of the City Code of the City of Ventnor. Have a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open the public.
My second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any public wishing to comment on this ordinance, please make yourself known to Mr. Pakinowski. Okay. Seeing none, Jim?
Nope.
Okay, motion to close, please.
Motion to close. Hearing on public hearing on ordinance 2020-010.
My second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, ordinance adoption 2020-010. Lisa, or a motion to adopt ordinance, please.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-010 as described.
My second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes. Okay, another public hearing on ordinance 2020-011, an ordinance of the City of Ventnor, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 2017-24, establishing 2020 salaries, compensation, and salary ranges of officers and employees of the City of Ventnor, and repealing all ordinance or parts of ordinances heretofore adopted, the provisions of which are inconsistent herewith. The motion to open to the public, Tim?
Motion to open the public as described.
My second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody wishing to comment on this ordinance, please make yourself known to Mr. Pakinowski.
No one.
Okay. This song Sound of Silence keeps coming through my head as we do these things a little bit. Sorry. Motion to close, Commissioner Kriebel?
Motion to close.
I second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Need a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-011.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-011 as described.
I second. Roll call, Lisa?
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes, it's adopted. Okay. So we got resolutions that we're going to adopt by consent. Resolutions 2020-186 through 2020-193. We good with all them, Tim?
These are the ones we just discussed from
Yes.
refunding deposits and EMT. So yeah, we covered all this in the workshop. That's what it's for.
That's correct.
Yep.
So accept the motion to adopt those resolutions by consent?
A motion to adopt resolutions 2020-186 through 2020-193 as described.
I second. Roll call, Lisa?
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes. Okay.
Lance?
Now,
Lance?
yes.
A gentleman named Jeff wasn't here for the public comment on the short-term rentals. Can you just give him a quick overview? real
Sure.
fast?
Sure. I did see that pop up. I was going to hit it in the next public, but I'll do it now. It's good a time as any. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Sorry, I just got out of work late. Apologize.
That's okay. So we actually just did, as we adopted those resolutions, we repealed the ban on short-term rentals. That'll go into effect on June 1st. So you'll be able to rent short-term rentals, the Airbnbs, the VRBOs, as of that date. Was that
So
your
we can
question?
get our summer COs. That's great. That's great.
So understand what a summer CO is. I'm not sure what you're speaking of there.
Seasonal CO, the seasonal CO.
So a seasonal CO was never banned. If you were renting more than 21 days, you were able to do that from day one.
So when I spoke with the city, they told me that they are not handing out seasonal COs. They're handing out regular COs. And yes, the 21-day minimum, but it's a regular CO. It's different than the seasonal. This is when I spoke with the folks at the municipal building. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, as of June 1, those will be issued as well.
Great. Thank you.
To my knowledge, I will confirm that tomorrow with Jim Agnesino.
Right.
Yep, that's who I spoke to. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Have a good night. Al, could you just refresh our numbers on the bills? I got them right here, but the bills and payroll?
Sure. Our payroll amount I have is $509,031.08. And the bill list for this pay period is $5,958,197.72.
Okay. Tim, I'll accept the motion to adopt bills and payroll as stated by our CFO.
Motion to adopt?
A second. Lisa, roll call?
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes. Next is announcement and safety report if needed. Tim, you have anything on the safety side?
Well, we are coming out of sort of the intense part of the COVID-19 and the restrictions that are in place as things get lifted. I won't go in. I mean, we are, even though people have been using their bikes on the boardwalk, biking returns officially tomorrow. I think that the departments have done a great job, police and fire, of slowly helping clutch out the amount of people and traffic that are to help slow the spread of COVID-19. I found out this evening that my grandmother has tested positive. So this is not far from any of us. It's something that I'm very proud of the way that the city has responded, protecting people. I'll go forward with commissioner comments if.
Yeah, please do.
So the lifeguards, the fire department will be giving the lifeguards thermometers. One thing to keep in mind when you're going up to a lifeguard for a tide check or a temperature of the water check is to keep your distance. That's probably one of their biggest, not complaint, but one of their biggest observations in this new environment. We have them socially distanced. The weather's been in our favor, so in terms of keeping people distant. And the EMTs are going to provide a valuable resource in the case of rescues that do have more contact or potential contact. And we'll have these are going to be trained individuals that are going to make sure that everyone themselves and everyone around them are safe, as Chief Cahill mentioned. Public safety, our troops at this point are 100% healthy. Police and fire, they're concerned. Is always there because they're our first responders, but we are 100% healthy. We're getting in the fire department. We're getting back to training. I'll speak for Chief Cahill, but every department has been impacted by the difficulties in working in this environment, and the police and fire are no different. So there's going to be a lot of catching up after we roll into the summer season and the fall. So the impact is going to be year long for this, and the state and the data that we give them is hopefully going to help us respond in different ways forward. We've created a better plan and a better prevention, a better for the city in general by experience. So I appreciate that. As far as last on public safety, I want to congratulate the farmers market for creating a very safe environment. That was a thing of beauty that the health department gave us very high marks on. It was well attended, but very distant, very easy one entrance, one exit. There was, I think people are going to get used to this new way of doing, and hopefully it evolves into a better experience. But it's not the social experience that we remember in the past, where it was a lot of communities. They paring down the number of vendors from 40 to 10 or 15 makes a big difference.
Yeah, kudos to Andy and Penny and that whole volunteer staff.
Fantastic.
They did a phenomenal job with that. PD, Chief, just great job.
Unbelievable. It's something that I'm glad that we have, and that we can continue to have. It is an essential, and it actually, in my mind, is a lot safer to be out in outdoors than to be feel as though you have to be crossing lanes in a grocery store. So this was, and then we're you know we have a lot of discussions to have, but I'll about reopening things. But one of the things that is a hot topic is outdoor seating with restaurants, and we're simply not there yet. Restaurants are not we're not allowed to have people sitting in close proximity to each other, and the natural reaction for restaurant owners in this town is to put seating outside, and it's really not that time. Even if people take out and go and sit on those chairs. So police has done a nice way of speaking to all the restaurants, and for the most part, they're complying to keep those tables not in use until we can follow the lead of the rest of the state and slowly bring that outdoor dining back into play. But we're just not there yet. And then I might just turn it over to Chief Cahill briefly. The firehouse under construction is a big deal. It's entering the interior phase right now, and everything on construction has been impacted by COVID, but you seem to have a great feel and a great appreciation for the work that that contractor is doing. The building looks fantastic. So, anything else to offer there?
We're working with a very professional outfit. That's the best thing I can say is they're doing a great job in adverse situations and some supply chain issues. And to tell you the truth, they're keeping me happy.
Right.
That's all I can say. They're keeping me happy.
No easy task, Chief. No easy task.
Just ask my wife. Trust me.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, supply chain issues are just on every in every industry. You know, you just get you get a zero response. Some materials are just not available, and we're working through that. But I'm looking forward to the dedication. It's going to be a great building for the city. Thank you.
I think we all are.
That's it. Chief, you want to talk about meters? Meters are going out. We're replacing 100 out of 300 heads, mostly in the busiest locations. Despite that, our early rollout on when they started, they weren't necessarily worked the bugs out, but now we have we're going to have some new 5G meter heads. 100 of the 300 are being replaced, and the kiosk for the Newport Avenue lot, I hope is going to be has been ordered. And when that comes online, I hope that relieves some of the pressure of that area, that central business area, which is we're gonna start to get our volumes up. We're already there actually. So and then, you agree, Chief?
Yeah, we're going to be starting to enforce meters. Will be as soon as they're up and running, and we'll make an announcement on that. Kiosks will be up and running, I believe, June 1st. The only thing we're not going to be able to enforce right away is the change in the residential parking, only because we want to give the residents a chance to get their stuff in the mail and their permits that have been mailed out. So I talked to Jimmy Agnesino. The 4-hour parking will start probably sometime after the first week of June, maybe towards the second week. We'll start enforcing that more. But everything else, you're going to see a lot of changes in the business district, poles being changed out, loading zones being marked properly in some of the establishments. Everything that we've done with the ordinances will now be addressed with the help of the city yard, Kevin Cannon, Ed Stinson's crew. So it's all coming to a nice head there where everything is going to be, we're going to be back to normal operations-wise sooner rather than later at this point.
Great. Great. And then if I can just wrap up with a pickleball comment. We've been I had a couple conversations and discussions with Jerry in the rec department, and I'll get to Pat to hear her comments. Jerry and I also spoke to Ed today. They have slightly different takes on this, and I'm going to err on the side of caution. Jerry's side is that his preparations are ready. He's created plexiglass dividers for sign up. He's got chairs that are zip tied to the fence that are 6 feet apart for the tennis. He's got out of all of the groups and all of the sports, the group that plays pickleball is probably the most organized and rule-centric group that of the whole city. They've created such a community event there that I think it will be one of the early group sports to open. I don't think we're ready to open this week. Because it just really doesn't fall under what any way you read the executive order, it's just not there yet. Even though Margate is doing it, we've always erred on the side of caution, and we're going to take it week by week. So discussing maybe opening registration up, and then starting not this week, but this Monday coming, but the following Monday, depending on what the governor does and the guidance that we get. So the earliest would be the 5th, based on, or the 8th, based on the guidance. So that's where I stand on that decision. I'll just ask Pat, who's the organizer of the pickleball group here, to comment on that.
You want to do that now, or you want to do it during public?
We can go right in the public comment at the end of, or
I've got a few things.
Yeah, you got a few things as well.
Yep.
Do you mind?
No, bring her in now.
Yeah, we can do it now while we're talking about it. We got everybody's attention.
Yep.
So Pat.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lance. I appreciate the fact that you allow me to speak now. And Tim, thank you for the compliment about organized pickleball. But, obviously everyone has been asking me, when do we think that we're going to open it? And I've had multiple conversations with Jerry. And as you spoke to, he's ready. He feels as though he has everything in place that we need to, one, keep people safe by keeping them socially distant, and two, by hand sanitizers at the gates and keeping the staff safe from the general public. We have entrance gates, exit gates, and rules for people to follow. Right. So I hear what you're saying. You want to be cautious, but I guess I'm not sure what these 2 weeks of caution will bring us.
I can kind of answer that. The governor has not allowed recreational sports to come off of his ban. So I don't know how Margate's getting away with it, but right now, my understanding is that the state has not said we can go back to team participatory sports. So we're not doing that until we're allowed to do it.
Okay, so Lance, last Friday, Governor Murphy said he's signing an executive order, and I don't have the number, lifting the limit of outdoor activities from 10 to 25, and that recreational campgrounds, both public and private, are allowed to reopen effective immediately. So does that not include Department of Recreations at a local level?
No, to me it doesn't.
Okay.
We read it. Our Ed Stinson could not interpret it in any way, and he has been a supporter of Jerry and you and those sports. He wants to get them open because as much as anyone, but we could not square it until we get the go ahead.
And I think the mayor she's on the call, I think, every other day with the South Jersey Mayor's Group, with the governor's office. I believe our contact is a gentleman by the name of Alex. And she asked that question, and the answer was no, we're not there yet. Look, we want to open things up as soon as we physically and possibly can. But we're not going to go against what the state is telling us, because what that can eventually do is put in jeopardy any monies that we get back from the federal government. If we violate these state executive orders, we can then put in jeopardy, the overtime we have for both Public Works, Police Department, Fire Department, whomever, and all the costs associated with, the $41,000 that we're spending to clean extra all of the public bathrooms. We have to do these things in accordance with certain standards and at certain times, because we all know if you don't follow those rules, you have to pay these dollars back, or you don't even get them. We've been victim of that. So that's why we're being very cautious, Pat.
Okay, I appreciate that, Lance. I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pat. We'll keep in touch.
All right. I just got a couple things. I don't want to get too crazy with dragging this on, but I wanted to and Tim, I thought you might have hit on it, but I'll the beach is going to look different this year with the lifeguard stands. They're going to be 2 stands per open beach, and 1 lifeguard in each. And I believe they're asking the swimmers that are going in that frigid water to go in between those 2 stands. Is that my understanding, Tim?
Yeah, so they're distancing the guards by one on each end of the swimming beaches, and that helps allow the swimmers to be socially distanced as well.
Yep, creates more space. So it's a different look. It was weird walking down the beach and only seeing 1 lifeguard in a stand. So
yeah,
kudos to those guys and girls. They are ready to perform their summer duties, and I thanked as many of them as I saw this past weekend during the few hours we had of sunshine. The restrooms, we hope to get them opened up. As we said, we just hired a company to come in and assist with cleaning them. The requirement is that they get cleaned, I believe, every 2 hours now. So it's a lift. It's a heavy lift. We're looking first week of June to get those up and running. So we're about another week and a half or so away of getting that to happen. Not even a week and a half. We're coming up close to it. You touched base on the restaurants looking to do outdoor dining. What we are doing is we're looking at, and I have to go pick up the maps from Matt Duffy over at the County GIS Department tomorrow. I've created some maps that we're going to look at some opportunities for these restaurants to, once they're permitted to expand into some outdoor areas in the vicinity of the restaurants. So we are looking at options there. We're not there yet, obviously, but we want to have a plan that might allow them to expand some of their outdoor seating, to allow them to separate, socially distance, and do what they need to do to kind of operate there. So I'll sit down with Ed Stinson, our city engineer, possibly Jim Agnesino, and then report back to the commissioner and the mayor on some ideas that we're going to come up with to able to do that. Also, absolutely including Chief Biaggi in this whole discussion. You and your staff are going to be integral in a lot of ways that if we can do it, then we will need your input to be able to do it.
We'll make it happen, whatever you want.
I should have those maps tomorrow, and we can sit down sometime next week and go through some ideas, brainstorm a little bit. We're looking at any idea we can come up with. So just an update on the Newport Avenue Municipal Parking Lot. They paved it the other day. They're getting ready for doing the concrete on the entrance. There'll be new lighting, new landscaping. Commissioner Kriebel mentioned the kiosk that'll be there instead of the individual meters. So it'll be a lot more efficient to operate that parking lot. That's kind of it. I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get too long-winded. So with that, Tim, we'll accept the motion to open up the public comment on anything.
Motion to open up public comment.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, if you have a comment, I saw one in the chat.
All caps.
Yeah, all caps. Yeah, TNA. So whoever that is, please state your name and make your comments.
Yeah, Mr. Kreischer. I'm trying to unmute him.
Is that better?
There you go.
We can hear you.
All right. It's Tim Kreischer, Ventnor. I want to thank Maria and Jim for helping me with my technology issues. But you may have already addressed it, Commissioner Kriebel and Commissioner Landgraf, about the restaurants. I know that you're not there yet, but that day is coming soon where they're going to be able to open, but probably with some type of limited seating and maybe 25, 50%, and it may be limited to just outside. Commissioner Landgraf, you mentioned about getting maps and doing what you can. Is there any plan to move some of this blocking off part of the street on Ventnor Avenue and Atlantic Avenue?
So that's why I requested the aerials, so we can sit down and look at those options. And we've been approached by a couple of the restaurant owners about doing something along those lines. As you're well aware, Ventnor Avenue is a county road, as is Dorset. From Dorset to Margate is a county road. So we'd have to work with the county to do that, which we've done in the past for different events, either parades or the spring block party. So we have talked about that, and that's why I want to sit down with Chief Biaggi and our city engineer and talk about what does that look like? What sections can we do? What sections can't? We don't want to just do it on Ventnor Avenue. We have, 3 or 4 new restaurant, not new, but at least one new restaurant on Atlantic Avenue, North Beach Cafe. You've got Puglia, you've got Aroma and Bubby's over there in the new area of North Beach where we have the streetscape. And we talked about we want to talk about options there of what can be done. So we're also looking at vacant lots in the area. Ventnor Avenue, right by Ocean First Bank, they have a vacant parking lot. You've got the medical building across the street. You've got the vacant lot next to Sapore. We've got the vacant lot that we now own in that same area. So there are certainly some options that we are going to look at. We have to get the okay from the state first, but once that happens, we want to try and have a plan in place that we can assist our businesses in this community as best we can. Dorset Avenue has 2, you got a couple restaurants there in Red Room. Annette's has a parking lot, which they could do something there. But you've got the ice cream place and things like that have their own place where they could operate outside. So we're looking at all options. We've got the old Wawa building over there on Dorset that has the potential of doing something outside. So
we're open to all those suggestions, and we're excited about the idea that it could be something that could actually be very successful for these businesses to get through the summer months. It's going to be very challenging for them.
You may have already thought of it, but I'd just like to offer a suggestion. And you're right, Commissioner, you have to do Atlantic Avenue as well. You just can't do Ventnor. But, excuse me, is, moving the parking lane out and putting barriers along in the business district and creating that extra space.
Yep.
And then the parking lane would be a little bit further out. Ventnor Avenue is 1 lane anyway, so you'd still have the lane of traffic. On Atlantic Avenue, it's 2 lanes. You'd have to do something there, but I'm sure greater minds than mine can figure something out. But that extra space,
all on the table, Tim. All on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my parklet idea is time has come. I think there, the notion that we could allow some restaurants even to lease their parking spaces out in front and in the longer term. If they build that parklet that I had floated by the commission last year, there's all sorts of creative ways to allow these businesses to get more seating.
And again, the reason I bring it up too is that anything that you do would have on Ventnor Avenue in that district would have to include the county, and the freeholders meet on the 2nd and the 16th of this month. So this time is somewhat of an essence to get it done for the July 4th holiday. So,
right.
All right, well, I'm glad you're thinking of it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyone else? I don't
see anybody.
Okay.
All right.
With that, Tim, I'll accept the motion to close the public portion.
Motion to. I have one quick response here to Pat. Pat, the Ed Stinson is our engineer and head of public works.
Right. He's our city engineer and superintendent of public works.
And he also is supervisor to recreation. So
Yeah, Jerry Thomas, yep.
Jerry Thomas. So motion to close public portion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tim McGuire, no executive session tonight, correct?
That's correct. No executive session.
Okay. Commissioner Kriebel, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Tim,
Have a great weekend,
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
You too, Tim. See ya.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Nanette.